And the small mid-sized processors again don't always have the deeper technical capabilities on staff, and we can be that. And that's why USDA AMS thought AMSA would be a good part of this network.
Hello, meat folks. Welcome back to the MeatsPad podcast. It's your hungry and humble host, Phil Bass, back for another great week with some information that if you're not aware of yet, you should be, or at least anticipating, because we have some great guests on. Dr. Rob Maddock from the American Meat Science Association has joined us in the past, but in addition to that, we also have Christi Calhoun, Dr. Christi Calhoun, which is she's part of our scientific communications through the American Meat Science Association as well. And so welcome both of you.
Yeah, thanks, Phil.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. This is as a lot of our discussions revolve around medium to small size processors, it's very good timing to bring on this kind of a new program that's been brought about by the American Meat Science Association. I'm going to have you guys tell a little bit more about it, but folks, there's some great resources that if you're not using, use those. Use the resources that are available through the American Meat Science Association. And for those who are listening, who maybe aren't running a plant but know someone who is, and needs help, this is the opportunity. These are the folks that can help. And so I'll stop talking. I'm going to let you two take it away and tell us a little bit about the opportunities that are available for processors out there.
Very good. Thanks, Phil. So just a quick recap of what we're doing with AMSA in terms of plant support is, a couple of years ago, really post-COVID, there was the concern about empty grocery store shelves. Mm-hmm. And there was a big effort then to strengthen and solidify the meat and poultry supply chain. And so some dollars are made available from USDA through the American Recovery Act to for some granting things. There's been several opportunities like inspection readiness grants, the meat and poultry processor expansion, local meat capacity, as well as some others. Now, unfortunately, those grants, for the most part, have run their course. We're still waiting for some announcements. But along with those grants, USDA set up a technical assistance network to help people. And it could be with help with writing those grants initially. But then the idea was, as these dollars flow from these grants into mostly small and medium processors, that there would be a network of people to help them with just about anything that they could need. And the American Meat Science Association is one of the cooperators in that, along with several others that you may be familiar with, like the American Association of Meat Processors, the Niche Meat Processors Network, and then some others, Tuskegee University, a Utilization Research Institute, and the Flower Hill Institute, which is an NGO that kind of helps underserved communities. So we have dollars to provide technical assistance, but it goes broader than that. We have these cooperative agreement dollars that the primary thing, right, is to provide assistance to processors, whether they're new, expanding, they're having issues, they're in trouble. And we can offset costs of the consultants. We can do our own consulting with them, with the expertise we may have, or we can match people up with some of our AMSA members or others who have expertise in the area. In addition, and this is the part that's we're getting to and we're starting to push a little harder, is that we have some dollars now that we've set aside to help people who are doing extension and outreach strengthen and expand their programs as related to the meat supply chain. Whether those are educational programs, they develop materials, they're doing workforce training, doing processing schools. Those are some big ones. And then the third thing, and I'm going to let Christi talk about that in just a few seconds because it's been more her project, is we're putting together a technical assistance website where we are gathering up or finding or requesting or having people make some really high quality technical assistance materials, whether they're short papers, infographics, short videos that we're going to have in this one site. Now, that website, we're hoping it'll be early this summer when that'll go live, and we'll have some really good resources there. but yeah, all in all, so this is everything that we're doing and have dollars for is to help again strengthen the supply chain, and a lot of that has to do with small processors, medium-sized processors, doing whatever we can to make sure that they are going to succeed and continue as throughout the and be good business and provide meat and poultry and foodstuffs to a broad area and a lot of people.
So, Christi, maybe tell us a little bit about that website that Rob mentioned, and that's the Meat Locker, right?
Correct. We are.
What a cool name!
I think we can have a lot of fun with it. Yes,
Yeah.
the Meat Locker. We're hoping at RMC to have a bigger conversation around it. Right now, we're literally building the framework for it and gathering content, and our members will see some calls for information. We're fortunate we have an opportunity now for it to serve a little bit of a dual purpose, and take some of the really highly scientific content from our website will also show up on it, and it will be possibly a little more searchable and easier than our current AMSA website, which needs to serve a lot of purposes. So some of that material will show up on it, but the primary focus will be simplified, easily searchable content. And the core of what we do is the technical scientific piece, but we want to kind of broad. There'll be some business operations sort of things, and we're working with the other partners in that network that Rob talked about that also are part of this grant. Some of those have really great content already, and we are happy to link and utilize what's already there. The main point of the Meat Locker is to be easily accessible and easy to find your answer. And so that will be the creating that capability, and it's the main focus.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, if you haven't gathered already, this is a resource for you that is free of charge. I'll just say that one more time. Free. This is a free opportunity to better your business or bring your business online. And Rob and Christi and I were visiting what is about a week and a half ago, I believe, about this idea, which got me so excited. I said we have to get this information out there sooner than later. And so I wrote down a few of the items that are specific, and Rob's already mentioned this, but like the grant writing opportunity. I was just on the phone with somebody who's their equipment supplier that they're kind of new and looking at ways of getting into the different operations, but their equipment can be expensive at times. And so it seems like the processors assistance network, the technical assistance network, yeah, maybe we could throw a few shekels out here and there, but the big value will come from the grant writing that can come from the expertise that are online right now. And I don't know, maybe you two can tell me a little bit more about how we go about that process, because grant writing can be very scary for those who are not familiar with it.
Yeah, definitely. And that was a big part of our push over the last almost year, where a lot of the programs are very meat specific that we helped a lot of people write proposals for. Like I said, for the most part, those have been completed. We're waiting some announcements, but there are ongoing state level grants. A lot of states have dollars, and just about every state we run into has some hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars set aside to help meat processors. And a lot of that can be towards equipment, could be towards new buildings, could be towards operations. And there are some annual USDA dollars, for example, value added producer grants. There's the local food farmers market grants, value added egg. I don't know if I mentioned that. And so these are ongoing where there's opportunities that maybe meat processors haven't thought about before to snag some dollars to help make their operations more efficient, more effective, and more viable over the long term. And so they'd certainly be competitive with that if they're interested in applying for those. And the unfortunate thing in this, a couple of those got some pretty tight deadlines to now, but they do come up repeatedly, as well as some of the state ones may be ongoing. They get a hold of us, right? And we can help them with just about anything. We won't write it for them, but providing inputs, help with the forms, finding the right things online from either the state or federal government, helping them get registered with grants.gov, which can be a pain for a private company or individual. So in terms of grant writing, yeah, certainly, and we did a lot of that over the past years. Several dozen contacts with people to help them with their grants. And I'll just keep going to give a couple other examples as we get deeper into our uh, our technical assistance.
Mhm.
In terms of direct assistance and or getting people together. We've had a small plant that was doing some dried sausage and salami products and needed help with a HACCP plan. We hooked them up with one of our expansion specialists in a different state who was an expert in that. And the USDA dollars paid for that person to help out. No cost to the processor to get that done. We've got some other people who had having some HACCP questions that they're tangling with their inspection just a little bit, and we got kind of pulled out some big guns with some consultants to help them out on some technical questions they had. Again, those cooperative agreement dollars can pay for that consultant to help out that processor. And then some other things, as I mentioned, we're spending dollars on. A good example, we made some dollars just recently, or are in the process of making some dollars available to extension and outreach. And we're gonna highlight a specific one. University of Nebraska, Lincoln, started a meat processors managers course.
Mm.
I believe it's a year or 2 year course. And they came and said, "Hey, we can kind of make this work, but if we had a few extra dollars, we could really open this thing up and make it a lot more in depth, a lot more enriched." And so we're happy to do those sorts of things too. So that's just a good example of an extension program where we can help out. Now, we probably don't have the funds to pay for the whole thing, but we can sure help strengthen and enhance those extension programs.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a lot of good examples of what we're doing. And then Christi and I are traveling around the country, and we're taking a lot of phone calls too, and helping people directly when we can.
Well, and I appreciate you guys doing that. I want to reiterate a little bit of this too, is that, as soon as I as soon as it finally got through my thick skull, the opportunity that is here and the freeness of it, I went and talked to a local processor here who wants to come online and become a USDA inspected facility. Right now, they're doing everything custom. They want to bring to come under inspection. Well, I as a meat scientist, I could fumble my way through there at some point, but let's be more efficient about this. Let's use the network that is already there within the American Meat Science Association and find the people who are going to be able to just pretty much flip the switch and say, "Oh yeah, do this, do this, do this." And we're ready to go. And that's what I did. I reached out to Rob and the wheels start turning. And maybe you guys could talk a little bit more about other examples like that or further opportunities. I mean, okay, let me back up. How many professional members do you guys know the number? How many professional members are currently part of AMSA?
We have 2,300 total members. We've got a significant student body. I don't know that I can tease that number out just quickly.
But the professional, yeah. So the professional membership is well into the hundreds, obviously. And so, okay, so think about this, listeners. You have a network of hundreds of experts, many, many PhDs. They have devoted their life to meat science in both quality and safety. And there's probably areas out there that I'm not even aware of. They are at your fingertips with this team. And don't miss out on this opportunity. So sorry, I interrupted you guys. I was just throwing out there like maybe a few more examples of ways that you can help these folks.
I'll jump in and maybe restate some of the things you already said, Phil, but to make it really clear, because it seems that it's been hard for folks to wrap their mind around what is the program, where'd the funds come from, and really it's free. Our own AMSA members are seeing the information through our newsletter, a little bit of social media, but we're really serving a lot of folks who are not our members. And depending where this podcast reaches, hopefully they will hear this as well. And if the small mid-sized processors, again, don't always have the deeper technical capabilities on staff, and we can be that. That's why USDA AMS thought AMSA would be a good part of this network, is because we do have unique expertise. If we don't have it in-house in our membership, we probably know someone that does. And so, yes, network is a big word. and kind of two approaches we've found to take. We had to learn our way through how to be good stewards of this money and, reach the most people that we can and make the supply chain more resilient as it was, titled and targeted to be. Two approaches. We're trying to reach those that aren't our membership, which is a little bit harder, and we're partnering with AAMP, some of the newsletters that get to those size processors. State inspectors, we've now found a network there to have them help share the information. And as an example, we could tell exactly when the information was getting out to state level, because I just took 2 calls this week from the southern states. One in particular, as a ham processing business, wants to expand, looking to purchase another building, and has a lot of questions about just structural integrity and being able to, run a food safety type environment in this new structure not built for food.
Mm-hmm.
And he shared the challenges of humidity and things that he has in his area, and asked, might we have someone that helps with just structural capability assessments. He's got a purchase agreement and needs to make decisions quickly. So not in AMSA's wheelhouse, but in our broader network, we know who does tend to do that. And so we're having that call next week to see if we can help those folks out. That's an example. The other would be back to using our extension programs, which are a little closer to AMSA's understanding and capability. But what can we do to expand extension programs that are already there, that are serving the meat processors in each state? And can we support existing programs, as Rob said, or does someone have a new idea, and can we help you get that off the ground, whether it's creating courses, creating materials, a research project perhaps. So those are 2 of those type examples. One more that I just experienced yesterday, I was so glad to be part of. We're using these TAPS dollars to support and reach through training. This example was the Humane Handling Institute, which has just been launched at the University of Wisconsin River Falls by Dr. Kurt Vogel. As an example, he has a state grant to start that program, and he can pay for Wisconsin state folks to come to it, but his grant doesn't support outside the state. We said we could use our TAPS funds and get folks from outside Wisconsin to the Humane Handling Institute. I happened to be there yesterday on campus. He was conducting that workshop that day, and it is fantastic. The more people we can help, know that exists and help get there, we think was good for the industry as a whole.
The power of relationships is immense, and that's a really cool point that you made, Christi. Is it's bigger than just the meatheads. It's the people who can help build the building or help with design. So it's not just troubleshooting. My hams they're not turning out very well. No, it's more about like we need to build a new facility, or we need to purchase something. Is this the right fit for us? How about like all the way down to maybe water treatment, because that's a big deal right now that we have to be considering. Do we have access to folks that could help with that?
Yes. And that's one of a good example of how we partner with the broader network,
Yeah.
because AAMP has been all over that, especially in terms of the wastewater treatment issue.
Yeah.
And so they're pulling together the resources on that. And if Sam has a question, that's a great example. I would probably kick them over to the technical assistance people at AAMP.
Mm-hmm.
They have the same sort of mission. We had a nice working relationship because they're pulling all the resources together for that. So we're not duplicating, right? So, but if we did, or if the app couldn't service them, we would hunt around, or we tap into the people we know to see if we can find that engineer to help them out. The wastewater thing, and at the EPA level is a big question, and we're kind of hoping that it's gonna be a little easier for smaller processors to meet those new regulations. But there's some state level things that get some people caught up with too. So yeah, we if somebody came to us with that question, we would find the right person to get them in touch with for that question. Yeah, but so again, just about anything. Like I said, I have no knowledge about, or very little knowledge about, wastewater management out of a meat processing facility, but we probably find the right person to get the help.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's those connections. And that's really powerful too, that, this isn't just AMSA saying, this is my project, these are my dollars, and I'm going to make this decision. No, this is about helping the person that's reaching out for help. And that's sometimes that's the hardest part for us processors. We're running around, we're firefighters, where our hair's on fire at all times. There's always an emergency. But sometimes you got to stop and take a breath, because if you don't, you'll fall over and pass out, of course. So you got to stop, take a breath, and reach your hand out and just ask, "Can you help me?" And it's not a handout necessarily as just dollars coming in, but this is a hand to pull you up and make you a better operator. And also for our academics who are in the extension service, I have printed out right here, Rob, the information you sent me. And by the way, this is about as simple of an application form as I could find. And I really, really appreciate that. The point being is that we're trying to get we're just trying to get the resources out into the masses and help the people who need it right now. And so, guys, I can't thank you enough for all these resources. Before we get into how to connect with you, I just want to ask you, are there any other main points that you would like to share with folks that are listening?
I want to give a little here's an ask is for those people listening. As we build out this technical assistance website, if you have things that you have made, if you're an extension person, academic, industry folks, we would love to see them and maybe link to them or get them and put them on our site. Especially if they're good, high quality, those durable sort of resources. So if anybody's out there listening, say, hey, I got this thing I've been trying to publicize, we will do that for you. And one thing, we will leave it branded. If it's your university or extension service, we will leave the brand on there, let them know where it comes from. But we will curate it and make sure that the links are always live and that the information is always good. So I got that to kind of ask or plea, help us build this thing out so we have that really good place. And we don't care if we link to your university or your whatever website, or if we have if we're going to host it on our own server. But just that little plea to get out there for everybody.
Well, yeah, and that's oh gosh, I mean, this is about as good as it can get. First off, the freeness, which is amazing, but then how easy the team is trying to make this for the ones that we're trying to serve. And I mean, that's pretty special. So, any other thoughts before we make it very apparent where to get access to this stuff?
Well, from a broader scope, one area we didn't talk about that does come up quite a bit is just what we called it general business health. And especially smaller processors, some that maybe got an early grant and it built new or expanded, and now they're into running the business, are finding some challenges. And if we get those kind of questions, again, we might know somebody in our own membership, but we go to that broader network. And in this instance, a lot of times we use the resources that are at NPAN, which is the Niche Meat Processors Association. And they have a lot of great resources already on their website that talk about things you need to think about as you start a new business, and some spreadsheets and worksheets. And so, I mean, that's just another element that's a challenge for a lot of the meat industry today, is just the business of day to day P&L.
Well, and that can't be over. That is something that has to be continually refocused on. Sometimes we look at the business side of things and as overly simplified, saying, "Oh, I can make sausage, I can slaughter beef, I can do that kind of stuff." It's not that, guys. It's all the other nuts and bolts that make that work. And so it's the accounting, it's the budgeting, it's the making sure that you're making a profit, because if you're not, that's not a sustainable business model. Let's be real. And so we have to keep that in mind. I've had a number of folks on MeatsPad in the past, just kind of talking about professional development of your own employees, and maybe we can help with that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of the big push of the future right now, honestly, from a business standpoint, is that technical understanding of meat cutting and processing is very, very important, and we're going to continue to do that. I believe the next step is, how do we make these people not just effective employees, but partners in the business, and giving them even more reason to want to come to work. And professional development is a great opportunity, and so I'm sure that the team could find ways to do that as well.
Great point. And we've had those discussions.
Mm.
And it's on our kind of a punch list of things to get done, is that in-plant employee training and interaction and development is a very important thing.
Yeah, we got to get them. We got to get the folks there. We got to keep them there, and we need to make them happy. And yes, NPAN has some great resources from the business side of things, and then of course Christi and Rob can connect us in many other ways. And speaking of which, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this thing. How do people get connected with these amazing resources?
The easiest way, if you can email us directly and we'll get those. If you go to the website, just meatscience.org, there is a meat and poultry processor technical assistance link that has a request for help form on it, as well as I try and keep that updated with what the current grant opportunities are and such. Email us directly. We're pretty easy to find, especially if you just go to the meatscience.org, but that's gonna be the best. And then our contact information is on there. And but yeah, that's I would say send us an email. It gives us a record, lets us keep track as we go along too. And so if you try and call us and we can't miss your call, sometimes things get tough, but we'll certainly give you a call back if that's what you want. And then, as like I said, anybody who has any sort of request for assistance or information from us, we'll get back to them, figure out what they need, and then get them hooked up with the right person or provide that sort of assistance directly. That's it's hopefully you have 100% response rate on that. So that's the easiest way.
So that again is meatscience.org, not .com. This is a .org situation here, guys. It's nonprofit. So meatscience.org. Go there. If you've never been, there's incredible amounts of resources, and documentation of a lot of things that could probably help your business right off the bat. White papers, research that could direct you to our meat and muscle biology journal if you want to really nerd out on meat science stuff. But meatscience.org is where you could connect also with this technical assistance stuff. I'm going to share with our team a few of the documents that Christi and Rob have sent to me, and hopefully we can put that up through our resources at MeatsPad as well. And so we'll just get a little bit more information out there. But email these folks, connect. If you don't mind, do you mind if I say the emails, or you guys can tell the group the emails?
Yep, it's C Calhoun at meatscience.com.
So C Calhoun, and that's CALHOUN at meatscience.org. And then Rob Maddock, R Maddock, that's MADDOCK at meatscience.org. We have Christi, of course, our communications officer, and so she's going to have to write me a ticket because I mixed that one up. So
I did it myself.
Yeah. So but hey, what else do we have to share with folks, guys? Or did we cover most of the things that we needed to tell the group?
Just to reiterate, we're here to help, and we have the resources. This may be a once in a generation thing where we have a lot of resources available, and so just encourage you, whether you're an academics, somebody, or you need direct assistance, just get a hold of us, and like I said, we'll get you. We'll do what we can to help, and there's a lot of resources available.
Well, team, thank you so much for sharing this. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to have some follow-up discussion at the Reciprocal Meat Conference. And let's, since we have you on here and we have our AMSA staff, let's remind folks of the dates and location on that.
RMC, the 77th RMC is June 16th through 19th. I'm looking at the calendar in Oklahoma City.
So folks out there listening, if you're not a member yet, this is an opportunity to become a member, to also interact directly face-to-face with the network that Rob and Christi are putting together. And so yeah, if you would like, and I highly encourage it, it's a meeting I don't miss, and that's the Reciprocal Meat Conference this year in Oklahoma City, center of the world, right there, Oklahoma City. So Guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll follow up hopefully again at RMC.